Hi, I'm Ron with On Point Aero Solutions, the aero robotics supplier for STEM and science education. Today we're here to talk about setting up a safe flying area so you can have a great, safe, fun learning experience with your drones. We're going to lay it out in layers. We're using best practices as identified by the Federal Aviation Administration, community-based standards for remote control flying. So we adopt those in our program to ensure for a good, safe flying experience. So we're going to lay out essentially 3 lines. The first line is a spectator line. You'll expand across to cover the area where we want spectators to stay behind. The next line out is what we call the pilot line. So the flight crew stand behind that line. The third line out is called the safety line, and the aircraft is beyond that. And then we'll set our takeoff and landing point as well. First thing we're going to do is get our safety equipment. So we employ and use these safety vests. Now, they're not required, but what we find is that we try to stress that these are tools and not toys. And so to do that and then stress some discipline acting out here on the flight line, we use these safety vests for the flight crews. So the teachers and whichever few students are out there that are actually going to be operating the aircraft, we'd like for them to wear these. It gives them a sense of responsibility. It also designates the difference between spectators and non-spectators. So we'll start from here and we're going to lay out our first line. So we're going to take advantage of this line of trees right here. It's kind of a natural area for our first line for spectators to stay behind. Now, the advantage of these trees is it gets real hot out, you do have a little bit of shade for your spectators, but really it's kind of to help to define an area that they understand they're not supposed to go beyond. So we're going to take our aero robotics flags and we're going to stake out a line 50 to 100 feet long. It kind of depends on how big an area you're going to fly, but probably about 50 to 70 feet is long enough. So we're going to do that now. We're going to start and set a line. We've got a natural line where they cut the grass that makes it a little bit easier for us. Now these flags, we just put enough of them out there to generally establish up here. And that's our spectator line. So we're going to ask all of our spectators to stay on this side of the line, and only the flight crews are going to go beyond that. Next we'll walk out and we'll set out the pilot's line. So now we're going to set up the pilot line. We're about 50 feet from the spectator line, and that's pretty good for what we're going to do out here today. So just do the same thing and stake a line. By the way, your lines don't have to be straight. If you've got a natural curve in an area, or a spectator area has some kind of a curve, or you want to create one, that's okay. Just understand that people have to stay behind that line, and it's up to the teacher's responsibility to make sure those things happen, whether it's students or parents or even faculty and staff. And that's our pilot line. Now the importance of the pilot line is the flight crews who are actually operating the aircraft, directly involved in the program or in the operation of the aircraft, are going to be standing on this side of these lines. We're going to put the safety line out this way, but what's important to know is the pilots don't cross this line without the instructor or the teacher telling them to go across. The spectators stay back over there and the flight crew stays here. Next we're going to set up, the last line is the safety line. So we're going to go about another 25 to 30 feet and set that line up. Okay, the importance of the safety line is that the aircraft is on that side of the safety line. The kids are not allowed to fly this side of the safety line. It has to stay out there. No one crosses the safety line unless the instructor takes them across. So make sure everything's turned off, make sure everything is safe, and then you can take the flight crews across the safety line. Now you'll have to do that several times, changing out batteries. If someone crashes it, have to change out a propeller. Things along those lines happen, and that's okay. But just make sure you express the discipline that no one crosses the safety line unless the instructor takes them across. Now, the last thing we're going to set up is a takeoff point. You do it a couple different ways. Sometimes we'll take 4 flags and send them up in a square, fairly close to the ground. You don't want them sticking up too tall because when they try to land, the propellers can hit these and take the aircraft out. So if you're going to use flags, be sure and set them fairly low. We've got something else that's a little more interesting, a little target area that we set out for kids to try to land the aircraft on. Here we set up a little target area where we're going to set our STEM Ranger. He's going to sit right there, and we'll take off from here. Red arms to the front. So this is where he's going to sit, and we use these are handy because it gives kids a specific target to bring the aircraft to. When a teacher tells them to bring it back and land it,
If it's just a line, they can land it anywhere along that line. But when you set a specific area, it gives them a goal to try to get it there. They like doing it. It helps improve their flying skills, and it's kind of a challenge. They compete with each other to see who can get onto the target closest. So this is what we're going to do. Set it up just like this. So a couple things when we're talking about safety that are a little important I'm going to mention. All right. So this is our controller. Now, a lot of kids tend to take the antenna and point it right at the aircraft. It doesn't really work. There's actually, this radiates signals off the sides of the antenna, not off the top. There's kind of a cone of silence that comes right off the tip. So always keep the antenna in a position where it's transmitting out in a bigger area. You don't point it towards the aircraft. The other is, these lanyards may look a little silly, but we've seen a lot of these controllers get dropped, switches broken, things happen. So we recommend these controllers, keep a lanyard on them, keep it around their neck, keep positive control of it, okay? All right, so now I'm standing here on the right side, the correct side of the pilot line. The aircraft is on its landing point, which is on the far side of the safety line. So now we're just gonna take a little flight up and let everybody see what it's all about. And there we are. Safe, easy to fly, GPS stabilized. The aircraft worked really well out here. A little bit of wind. So thanks for watching. We'll have more videos on different topics as time goes on. Thanks.